Alright guys, how's it going? So Gears of War E-Day just got announced. Let me know in the comments throughout this video what you're thinking as I chat along. Our channel is about discussion. It's about open, honest discussion and fair critique. That is what the community has been built on. Camera's a little bit low, it's just balanced on something at the moment. And I'm going to run you through some information about Gears E-Day, and then we'll talk about what you're all thinking and my thoughts as well. We've seen the trailer. If you've not seen the trailer, go and check it out and come back. So it says an iconic commercial for the 2008 Gears of War campaign has been kind of heavily influenced the direction of the new game, E-Day. It's got the Mad World combo. They're calling it sadvertising, and the Coalition have actually come out and they've said in behind closed doors in a group interview that the guy at GameFile attended, says that they wanted to showcase the brutality of Gears, the melancholy sad vibe, and it wouldn't be Gears if it wasn't over-the-top action spectacle, and that you should never fight alone, it's a co-op game, etc. And it's going to be set in the city of Kelowna. Now, the interesting thing here is, in my video, my expectations and hopes, I said exactly this. I don't think if they bring out Gears 6 and it's just Gears 5 V2, it can be a success. I think it's too far gone. I don't think people would buy into the hype again. They'd see through it and it'd just be like, I don't want this. So I couldn't see a way of them making fans happy, because a Phoenix collection, a lot of people didn't want it. Now, a lot of people did, but there are a majority of people that did not want it either. And for the reasons that we spoke about, you know, diluting the player base, which game do you play, it taking a lot of development time away from things, and a whole host of stuff. So it wasn't like everyone wanted a Phoenix collection. Most people wanted Gears of War 6, obviously, right? That's what they were most excited for, and that hasn't been announced. But it's obviously going to happen, because they're going to finish the new trilogy off, right? But this has been announced E-Day. So how are we taking this news? Because on the one hand, it's exciting for Gears fans because it's going back to the classic action. But on the other hand, it's going to be very difficult, I imagine. And I know this is like jumping ahead, but I like to think a bit critically, and I know you guys do too. And that's why I enjoy discussing these things. You're going to go from E-Day, which to me sounds good. Like I said in my video, I like a Wolfenstein game where it's linear, it's not open world, you punch through a load of action, you get to the next zone, there's a dramatic cutscene, punch through a load of action, get to the next cutscene. That's what they're doing here. And I've always said, whether I'm kicked off the game, whether they don't like me, whatever, I'm always fair. They've done a really good job with this trailer. It looks exciting. It looks visually brilliant. And I think it looks like a good job. And I have no problem. I'm not some biased person that will just crap on a person for no reason. No, I think they've done a really good job, and it was exciting. I'm not too sure about the screaming, the crying, the over-the-top action, but I know that's just for YouTube views. But sometimes I think, come on, guys. You know, I'll explain a little bit further about that. But I think the trailer looks good. I think the game looks good. But we've got to be thinking about, and I know this sounds daft, longevity. So let's imagine they've made a really, really brilliant campaign, right? Which let's hope they do, because it's going to be classic, and I like the idea that it's a locust and a single drone can be a scary thing. A single locust drone is a scary thing, as opposed to just being like, oh, there's a, you know, it's just a drone, it doesn't do anything, it's a watered down, unsafe, you know, like bit of a, you know, not to worry about enemy. I like the fact that it's impactful and you know, powerful. That's what you want to fear the locust. Like that. Remember that first time you saw that Corpser advert, you were like, whoa. That's what it should feel like, and that's what I've championed throughout all of my discussion, is that feeling had gone from the franchise. Now, Gears of War, to complete the game on any playstyle, rush through, completionist, main story plus extras, on average was taking 16 hours for players. So let's think about this. Let's say it's even longer or even bigger than Gears 5 campaign. Let's say it's 20 hours. After 20 hours, you're going to have played through the game and you're going to be sat there having waited, you've waited basically 5 years since Gears 5. There's probably going to be another 1, maybe 2 years wait for this game. You're going to be 6, potentially 7 years down the line. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? And you sit and you play the game and you love it and you're blown away. And for 20 hours, you're just immersed in classic Gears action. And for a lot of people, that will be enough. And they'll say, fantastic, thank you for the fan service, the enjoyment, brilliant. And that's what most people will do. Then there'll be another group of people that play through the campaign, they really enjoy it. Maybe they play through it again on a harder difficulty. And then they're like, okay, now what? What's the multiplayer? And that's the question. What do they do? Are they immediately thinking, let's just throw in some classic Gears action into the multiplayer, keep it standard, keep it simple, bring it back to its roots, whatever, they come up with some new mechanic, however they do it, right? We can't speculate on the multiplayer because they could do whatever. They've gone back in time, so anything's up for grabs, really. It could be classic Gears, it could be a mesh of the two, it could be something completely different, and you can't rule that out because nobody really expected this. So if nobody expected the throwback to a prequel, maybe they do something crazy with the multiplayer. We don't know. But when you go to play it, I'm just thinking, what is it that you want? You're the community. I talk to you all the time. Let me know in the comments, what is it that you want from the multiplayer? Because we're going to play through the campaign for 20 hours, 15 hours, and finish it, and then what's going to happen? Do you then sit around and play old classic Gears that for a while will give you a bit of a buzz, and it tides you over for a year, maybe 2 years, then Gears 6 is coming out, and it sounds daft to jump that far ahead because that's a large portion of time away, and lives change and we don't know what we'll be doing in that many years, so it's silly to plan ahead. But I'm just thinking about you guys, the younger folks that are going to be grinding this game and playing. When you sit down and you finish that campaign and you go on to multiplayer, I'm sure you'll get that feeling of that classic buzz back. But after a while, if it is too classic, if it isn't fresh, it will get repetitive for most players. Most players left Gears 4, Gears 5, they'd probably leave Gears E-Day, and I'm not trying to be negative either. It could be that they blow it out of the water and it's brilliant. But when we think about Gears 5 was a live service game, and we think about this game is not Gears 6, so there will be a Gears 6. So there's going to be a game after this. How long do they support this game for? Do they do what they just did? Support it for a couple of years and then just go complete radio silence? Because I still stand by what I said, and I've seen other people like Jack Frags 2505, great guy. He said that he's unhappy with the Coalition and the way they communicated. So did Flexes. If you know Flexes, he streams the game, competitive player, nice guy. And a lot of people aren't happy with the fact that the Coalition just went radio silent and then have just come back and said, hey, here's a game, get hyped. They've opened up the shop to sell t-shirts, and they're like interacting with the fans as if nothing happened, when a lot of people still have a bit of a sour taste in their mouth, the fact that they just cut the game off and just left you in the dark and said nothing. You obviously don't want a repeat of that. So when you've played that campaign and you've played that multiplayer, after 6 months, regardless of how good it is, 90% of the player base, and I'm telling you this because it happens in most games, will move on unless there's consistent updates. So you've got to think about what are they doing? Are they thinking, let's get this game out, let's get the classic action and let's get the hype going, let's get the multiplayer out and support it for a few months. Then when everybody's back on our side, then we can start the ramp up for Gears 6. Because I think, and I'll be honest, I think there was some kind of meeting or something that happened and they went, hey, listen, if we just bring out Gears 6 as another open world game of the similar theme that isn't dark, isn't gritty, isn't scary locusts, and we just churn out the new robots, churn out the same horde mode, we push out Gears 6, the way it ended Gears 5, I don't think people are going to be hyped for Gears 6. So the only way they can get Gears 6 to be hyped is to get fans back on board, and this is a great way to get fans back on board. But you've got to be wary of that. I think that's what it is. They're trying to get you back on board, and that's good, because what that means for you is you have a game that you like, which is what obviously everybody wants. They want a game that they like, so it's a win for you. And I think you deserve some wins for putting up with Gears 5 for so long. But it's just that if you're playing Gears E-Day, you're going to want classic Gears, right? If they have a crazy, wacky multiplayer, that's not really going to gel together. So it's more likely to be classic Gears action, which is more likely to lead people to say, oh, I've played this type of game 7 times now, 8 times or whatever. I'm a bit bored of it, let's move on. So I am a bit unsure about what to expect from that multiplayer and how it lines up with Gears 6. I've seen a lot of hype, I've seen a lot of celebration and discussion, but the cold reality is the game's not been announced as a release date. If it was coming out this year, they'd have told us, or next year, so it could be 2026, could be end of 2025, you know. And yeah, then you play through that campaign, you play that multiplayer, maybe it's got that classic feel, and you play it for a few months and you're super excited. I'm just trying to think about, are they doing another live service game where they support this for quite a few years with updates like Halo, Fortnite, Call of Duty, or are they going to say, hey, brilliant guys, we've got the hype back, people are now excited about Gears, now we can do the Gears 6 thing that we wanted to do because people are back on board. I don't know. I'm not trying to like play it down or be negative. I'm just trying to think of all the angles, because I don't think anybody expected this. Nobody expected a prequel to Gears of War and then having Emergence Day and having all this classic action. It's obviously an opportunity that they thought, you know what, people are sick of the robots, they're sick of the new characters, the whole style. If we're going to do a prequel, now's a great time to, you know, pull it back. Because I think if everybody was super happy with Gears 5, I think they'd have just cracked on and made Gears 6, right? So I think they know you're not happy. I'm hoping now for you folks that there is now a consistent stream of communication. That's what should happen. Realistically, they should probably apologise for the radio silence, and there should be some kind of clear plan going forwards as to how the game is going to be supported. Because regardless of how good this game is, I know you're all hyped up, but if it isn't supported more than Gears 5 was, it's going to dwindle down. And it sounds really, really negative and just unnecessarily, you know, harsh to say your game's going to dwindle down when everyone's so excited. And I am too, but I'm just thinking about the reality. Arcade arena shooters aren't surviving. I think we can agree, right? The landscape has changed, like from 2006 to 2024. You can all agree that your Halos, your Gears, your Unreal tournaments, that they're not surviving anymore. So they need a lot of support, a lot of help. And the Gears community is hardcore, and they do like their arcade shooters. So that's going in their favour. The Gears people will help keep the game alive, but they do need some help. And I'm just hoping that they give you that help to keep the game alive, because I can see it. I can just see a world where everyone gets swept up with the hype of the campaign. They play some classic action. There's no need for a Phoenix collection because this new game is giving you the classic Gears that you craved. And then it just dwindles. And I hope that's not the case. But in terms of like the game that we expect multiplayer wise, I think it has to be the classic action. I just do. Because it wouldn't make sense to go so hard into the nostalgia theme and get fans back on board with nostalgia to then try something super wacky with the multiplayer, right? So let me know in the comments, what are you thinking? Is this a way to just get fans back on board and then they'll begin the Gears 6 thing? And the question is, man, let's say this game is an enormous success, right? Think about this one. If the game is an enormous success and everyone's loving the classic action, multiplayer and campaign, what are they going to do about Gears 6? Because do they then go back to swarms, robots, Kate Diaz, glittery, bright characters, bright environments, people going around on skiffs in an open world environment? I think this game's really important. I think that's what I'll end the video on. I think this game's really important because depending on how this is received, I think it massively is going to impact Gears 6. Which I think, whether you realise it or not, I think most people wanted Gears 6. It's not to say they don't want E-Day, but everybody obviously wanted a Gears 6 to be good. That hasn't happened, but that doesn't mean that E-Day is a bad choice. It's a great idea for the game, and the company have come up with a really good idea there. I want to put that out there. I think this is smart. This is a genuine smart move, whether business-wise or just gameplay-wise. I think it's a smart move. But it does lead me to I've got a lot of questions. I'm just thinking, like, arena-based shooters, no matter how good they are, they tend to die off. How much support are they going to get? Or are we just going to kind of ride the wave of hype and nostalgia out until it fades away like Gears 5, then it's going to go quiet, and then Gears 6 is going to be announced. I'm just wondering how they play it, because I think it was pretty bad what they did to you guys to leave you in the dark for so long. I think this is a really, really interesting time period to be a Gears fan, because like I say, it is super important what happens. If it comes out, I'm telling you, if it comes out and everybody loves that campaign, and then that multiplayer just it itches a spot for a while but then fades out, I wonder what happens. It's interesting. Let me know what type of combat / multiplayer you want to experience. Is it just your classic execution 4v4? Will that get stale? Do you want something new? Do you want classic horde like Gears 2, or do you like the new style with cards and all of that? What is it you're looking for in this game? Because I know everyone's excited right now, and I'm happy you're excited, and I'm not trying to put you down. Please enjoy your excitement. But what is it that you're after? What's going to keep you going? Because I've spoke to a lot of people, and for as many people that are super excited, there are a lot of people that are skeptical because of the way the TC post-launch was handled. So we'll wait and see. Let's just hope for you folks that there is some communication.